Has someone ever hurt you so bad that you just couldn't forgive them? Or have you thought you've forgiven someone, but time and time again, you still find yourself swept up in the emotions of what happened, sometimes even years after it's happened? If so, this video is for you. I'm going to talk about how to take on a fresh perspective of what happened, to actually give yourself a chance to forgive them for what happened and move on. Understand, I'm not sharing this idea so that you can use it to talk yourself into staying in a situation that is negatively impacting you. I'm also not advocating for you to use this to understand someone else's perspective to allow them to keep being shitty to you. I want you to be able to walk away from someone or a situation without feeling bitter and having to hate them or what happened for the rest of your life. I want you to be able to handle the hardest of situations and still remain unconditionally loving. Hey there, welcome back. Or if you've just found my channel, I'm John Wetz and this is Spirituality U. On this channel, I talk about spirituality, personal growth, mental health, the law of attraction, and sometimes a bunch of other fun esoteric stuff as well. My goal isn't to convince you to think like me, but to offer my perspective on things that have helped me navigate my life, my spiritual awakening, and my spiritual journey, and all the traumas that I faced throughout that, so that maybe it can help you too. Okay, so when you've been really hurt by someone, it can truly flip your world upside down. Like, some of us deal with our emotions much better than others, but eventually almost all of us go through something that kind of breaks us, and we really struggle to get past it. Oftentimes we even lie to ourselves, telling ourselves that we have forgiven something when we really haven't. All we've really done is just stuff those feelings deep inside of ourselves, and it's just sitting there in our subconscious mind, waiting to be triggered again when something else happens that is similar. And then that amplifies both situations and just makes it so much worse. The reason it's hard to forgive someone sometimes is because we often can't understand why they did what they did. We don't understand where they were coming from and how they could have been so insensitive to our needs. But this is where I'm going to change that for you. To be able to forgive someone, we need to understand where they're coming from. And to understand where people are coming from, you need to understand this, that literally anyone and everyone, whether it's you, your mom, your brother, your friend, your boss, coworker, the person who bullied you when you were a kid, or a complete stranger, what they're doing, anything they do, is coming from a place of love. It may not be love for you, it may be love for themselves. No matter how misguided it seems, everyone does everything they do out of a place of love. Even when someone does something that we consider to be hateful or downright evil, it's actually coming from a place of love. People think that hate is the opposite of love. It is actually a form of love, just a very selfish, oftentimes violent and angry expression of love. I know it might be hard to wrap your head around this concept, and it might almost feel offensive to think of it this way, because we spent most of our lives learning or believing that hate is the opposite of love. But that's really not true, and I'm going to explain why. Think of it like this. When someone is stealing something, whether it's food or another life essential thing, or whether it's just something for their entertainment, like TV or a computer or just money, they're doing this for a personal gain, which, seems obvious, but why do people do things for personal gain? They do it for their happiness. They're just trying to be happy like anyone else, which trying to be happy comes from a place of self-love. They ultimately just want to be happy, just like everyone else. They want or maybe even need what they're taking, and they either have no ability to get it any other way or believe they don't, or maybe they do, and they've just for whatever reason decided this is what's best for them. The act is wrong, it's selfish, and what they're doing is not fair to the person they're doing it towards. But in a roundabout way, it is coming from a place of love for themselves so they can be happier. When any of us do anything, it is always out of love. It's just always out of love for either ourselves, love for someone else, or love for both us and someone else. But it is always out of love. Even the worst acts of hate are done out of a place of love. And I'll explain some more of this in a bit. When someone has been emotionally wounded, that part of them that was hurt by someone is feeling scared of being hurt again. This can turn both inwards and outwards to the rest of the world. And it can oftentimes become violent or hateful or just mean and cold. I'm going to talk again about a concept that a lady named Teal Swan brings up in one of her videos. If you haven't checked her out, please do. She has phenomenal videos on here and talks about a lot of awesome things with a lot of great perspectives as well. But what she talks about is fragmentation, the idea of having multiple aspects of ourselves. The idea with this is we think of ourselves as this singular thing, but the reality is, as we live life and experience it, we have multiple parts of ourselves that have experienced things, and those parts are what make up the whole of us. Like, we are one body, but these different parts of us, the different things that we want, are what make up the whole of us inside this one body. One example of this, the side of us that wants a relationship. This side wants someone that they can trust, another person to love them, someone to cuddle with, someone to say, I love you to, someone to hear say, I love you to. They want a sense of security in another person physically being there for them, that they can rely on, that they can trust to care for them and love them. At some point, though, in that journey for trying to find someone to love us, we maybe found somebody that wasn't so good to us, someone that violated that trust, someone that hurt us. Maybe they emotionally abused us, maybe they cheated on us, maybe they physically abused us. Whatever it was that they did, though, a new side of us, like a fragmentation of that side of us that wanted love, was created. This side is hurt. This side is wounded. This side is trying to protect us now. This new fragmentation or side of us is now scared of having a relationship like the one that we experienced that caused this side to be born, the one where we were treated poorly. Those two sides of us, the one that wants the relationship and the one that is scared of relationship, now have to figure out how to work together to be true to both. The side that got hurt wants boundaries now and wants security in a relationship before it even really gets going. The side that wants the relationship is still like, no, let's do it. And will oftentimes rush ahead in a relationship, even when there's red flags that the side of you that got hurt is saying, wait, this was like before. I don't want to do this. But the side of you that is so desperate for that relationship is just like, no, it won't be like before. And then sometimes we rush into something that is identical to before. The side that got hurt now wants boundaries and security in the relationship, oftentimes before it even gets started. The side that wants that relationship, that always has, it oftentimes will just rush ahead no matter how many red flags are there and get us in a situation that is similar, if not identical to before, which causes that side of you that got hurt to double down on its efforts on trying to protect you and will oftentimes become resistant to love at that point. And when that wounded side is resistant to love, it can cause us to push people away that could have been a healthy relationship for us. It can cause us to act in ways that we don't want to because it is scared. It is terrified that the side of you that so badly wants that relationship will make poor decisions and get you hurt again, which will keep that cycle repeating over and over and over. These two sides have to be able to trust each other for you to move forward. But when they end up in this like power struggle for which one gets to be right, the side that wants the relationship often hates the side of you that is so cautious about a relationship, and the side of you that is cautious about the relationship hates the side of you that gets into a relationship so quickly and just ignores the signs that you saw before that got you hurt. And it turns into this like war inside of you. Let's look at this another way. Think of someone who has been deprived of things most of their life, who have struggled to get the things that they want or need. This person comes from an approach of things are lacking in the world. Resources are scarce, and they have to fight for anything that they get. They don't trust that they're going to be provided for, and they don't trust that things will come easily to them. This can lead to them being overly protective of the things they do have, potentially even violently so, or being willing to forcefully take it from others. And what is happening there is the side of them that knows better is being dominated by the side that has been deprived and unable to get what it needs for so long. They turn into this like survival mindset where they start just doing things that they know they shouldn't do, but they feel it is the only option they have. So they've kind of fragmented as well, where they have this person that wants to be a good person, but feels that their only option is to do things that is considered not being a good person. So they go about things in a selfish way, but this act is still an act of self-love. It is them trying to provide for themselves in a way that one side of them learned how, in a way that they learned was effective to providing for themselves. Because let's face it, like none of us start off bad. We might start off in very unfavorable positions and situations, but none of us start off evil or bad or hateful. Those are things we learn to do based off of experiences that we've had One more example of this is, let's take someone who is extremely religious and believes that their religion is the only true religion and the only way to get to heaven. They may aggressively and obsessively try to convince someone else to switch to their religion. This could be coming from one of two places. Either they truly do love other people and they're trying to help them because they believe that if they don't get this person to believe the way that they do, they're going to spend an eternity being tormented in hell. Or maybe they are thinking of it more of being rewarded by the God that they believe in and thinking that if they do get other people to believe the way they do, God will reward them, thus making them happier and giving them more security in the idea that they're going to heaven themselves. Either way, it's coming from a place of love, either a place of love for themselves or a place of love for you, even though it might seem misguided when it's coming towards you. You might be thinking, what does knowing this information do and how does it help me forgive people? Well, knowing and believing that everything someone does, they do out of love, helps you see things from a different perspective and see that they are simply acting in either their best interest or your best interest, or thinking they're acting in your best interest, which doesn't seem so bad anymore. They're ultimately just trying to be happy or help you be happy. Suddenly it's not they're just doing it to hurt you. They're now, in a roundabout way, trying to help someone. This can be applied to you as well. When you do things you aren't proud of, whether it's something to you or someone else, you're always acting out of a place of love, either for you or someone else as well. But sometimes that love is from a desperate side, a side of you that you may not be proud of, that doesn't get to exist or get acknowledged often. But when it does, it rears its head in a very ugly way and then gets stuffed back down deep inside because you're embarrassed, you're ashamed of it, and you want that part of you to go away. So you try to hide it. And it does go away for a while until it's done being sidelined again, and then it comes back. This is why it's important to learn to love and acknowledge all sides of you. And this helps you understand that not everyone is aware of this. So I'm sure you can understand from your own life. Those parts of you that you don't like, everyone has those. And not everyone is willing to look at them. If you are brave and you are strong for doing so. And I applaud you. You might be wondering why forgiveness is so important. Forgiveness is important because at its core, it's a way of letting go. It's a way of getting closure for something. When we can't forgive someone, we will carry that energy with us, that anger, that frustration, until we truly let it go and forgive it. It may sit dormant for a while in the subconscious mind, but it will wait there to be triggered again by something in the future that hits the same nerve that was hit before. And that weight can be very heavy as well. When you are carrying that around with you, whether you know it or not, it is weighing you down. It's what causes stress in the body. It's what makes you react the way you do sometimes. Forgiveness and understanding that everything at its core is just an expression of love, whether it's from a high vibrational loving point or a lower vibrational fearful vibration point. They're all expressions of love. And understanding that allows us a path to be able to be unconditionally loving and compassionate for everyone. When we are able to unconditionally love anyone, including ourselves, it allows us to walk away from situations that are unhealthy for us with our head held high, feeling compassion for the person and understanding that it didn't have anything to do with us. It had something to do with them and a wounded part of them. Or if we were the cause of the problem that caused us to have to walk away, it lets us have an understanding of that for ourselves as well. So we can still find compassion for them and us in all situations. When you're unconditionally loving, you're able to see that you and everyone else is always doing stuff the best they can from the perspective that they have at any given time. It's easy, and I've heard so many people before say, well, no, they should have known better, they should have done better. But that's not for you to decide. You aren't them. You will never experience any moment in their life from their perspective, just like no one will ever experience any moment in your life from your perspective. They have their perspective of what your perspective may be, but they never get to actually experience it from you with all the emotions that you carry with you from your past and the experiences that you've had. They aren't aware of. They haven't felt everything that you've felt in your life. You haven't felt everything that they've felt in their life. So it is not fair for us to ever think that somebody should have been able to do better in any situation, because all any of us can ever do is the best we can do from the perspective we're at, from the experiences that have shaped us. But you can then walk away from any situation understanding that what they did was not acceptable, it may have been hurtful, and you're not willing to ever let them do it to you again. But you can still see them as a person and have a compassion for them and a love for them that doesn't turn them into this monster or demon in your world. You need to also understand that in your life and in everyone's life, there may be points where people need to hate someone or something to protect themselves, to let themselves out of a situation. Sometimes we have to be angry and do things that we aren't proud of to get ourselves out of a situation that we can't get out of any other way, because that part of us that we may not be aware of, that is so desperately clinging to something, is holding on too tightly for the part of us that is telling us to let go of it, to actually get through within reason. So understand that whenever people are doing something like that is destructive, it is from a point of trying to protect themselves from a very desperate point. And that is honestly okay, because that destruction that is caused by those kinds of emotions basically pulls us out of the situation that us, them, you, whoever was in, that they couldn't let go of and can't get out of. Forgiveness just lets you move forward in a much lighter way so that you don't carry so much negative emotion with you trapped in your body, waiting in your psyche for it to pop up and surprise you again when you get triggered by the same kind of stuff that happened that you didn't let go of. It's hard to forgive when people do things to us that we can't understand, and it's hard to forgive when they're not sorry for what they've done. But understanding that what they do comes from a place of love, whether it's for them or you, lets you have a path to that forgiveness, whether they're sorry or not. And the truth is, honestly, no one should ever be sorry for trying to be happy and doing things that make them happy. What they should be sorry for is not being honest with themselves about what they need, not being aware of the parts of them that are wounded, and not being true to all of them, and for hurting other people. But they should never be sorry for trying to be happy, nor should you ever be sorry for trying to be happy. Learning those parts of you that are kind of at war is key to being able to understand everything that you need and being able to act in a way that is more compassionate at all times. Unfortunately, not everyone is aware of those parts of themselves, and a lot of people, I was one of them for many years, push down all those feelings, and then they come out in very unhealthy, hostile ways. But now you can kind of see that and be able to see that for other people, which gives you a way to forgive someone for honestly anything. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope it made sense to you. It's honestly a bit challenging to wrap your head around this sometimes and accept it. When I first started trying to think like this and accept it, it took me a while to fully digest it and get used to the idea. But it did let me forgive a lot of things that happened to me from people that I trusted and see them for a person again, like I did before I got so hurt. It also let me forgive myself and not feel so ashamed and embarrassed for all the times that I let myself hurt other people as well. Because honestly, over time, I've had anger issues with people and done things that aren't so nice. I've definitely hurt a lot of people's feelings before, and I understand now that was coming from a place of self-love and protection for myself. Like, I honestly used to let people walk all over me a lot until I got to the point where I was going to blow up at them. And I had this belief that if I didn't let myself get to that point sometimes, I would never have the courage to just bring it up calmly in a conversation instead of let it burst out in a very angry way. I've learned that I can do that now, but back then that was the only way that I had a coping mechanism, and it's what I needed to do at the time. It's the best I could do from the perspective I had at that time. It may take time of sitting on this information and let it sink into you for it to be something that you're fully comfortable applying. It did for me, but it truly does make it easier to forgive people for things that seemingly happened for no reason, that you definitely didn't deserve happening. Anyway, I love y'all, and I hope you're doing good out there. If this helped you at all, I'd love to hear about it in the comments and just see what it's done for people. I would also like it if you guys actually like this video, if you wouldn't mind giving me a like and subscribe in the buttons below. Anyway, thanks and enjoy the music. See you guys soon.